Hi, this is Russ Kingston, and I've been 50 for several years, but what you see is what you get. No special effects or makeup has been applied. I'm in Los Angeles. I am living alone. I have a brother who's a doctor, and I am the black sheep of the family. I pursued a career in showbiz. I was a cameraman for many years. I was in the Editors Guild for many years, and I've been acting for many years. Nothing that you probably have heard of, but I've been in a bunch of festival films that have played in countries around the world. I have done reenactments for TV, played historical characters, and I've done a lot of low-budget, straight-to-the-video bin science fiction type features. I'm still submitting, but times are slow, and at the moment I'm not working. So, party affiliation, believe it or not, I've been all over the map. I was once a member of the left. I marched in the streets against the Vietnam War and against Richard Nixon. But I used to live over a couple of communists from the 30s, so I understand Marx. I've read Marx and Lenin. I know what they're all about. But in 2008, I voted for Obama. I thought maybe he could do something to improve the status of the country in the Muslim world, since he had a Muslim father and a Muslim stepfather. And I bought the whole thing about hope and change and all that stuff, but boy, did I get hit with a huge case of buyer's remorse. What happened, I guess, is that the more I actually studied Islam, the more I realized that, as Groucho Marx said, whatever it is, I'm against it. I'm not a believer. I'm not religious. I'm an atheist. But I have read quite a bit from the Quran and from the Hadiths and from the earliest biography of Muhammad by Ibn Ishaq, and there's just an awful lot in there that I just don't like. And so when I heard Trump talk about a ban, temporary or not, on Muslim immigration, especially from countries like Syria and other parts of the Middle East, I thought that was a pretty good idea. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm going to be supporting Trump. The other thing is that I like a sense of humor. I mean, there's a few things he said over the past year that I might not have said, and I didn't like the thing he said about John McCain, but I mean, the guy has been on Howard Stern so many times. He's used to saying stuff and not having to apologize for it, because on the Stern show anything goes. Well, it's different in politics, as he's learning. But the thing I do like about him is that he seems sincere about his love for the country, and I really do appreciate him standing up for police at a time when there's some alarming shades of anarchy and chaos in the country. This whole Black Lives Matter thing is like really it bothers me, because they make martyrs out of criminals like Michael Brown in Ferguson. The fact is, he was not slain, as I heard one of the Black Lives Matter spokesmen say on the news recently. He was shot for good reason. I mean, he was grabbing for a police officer's gun, and you don't do that. And the guy was huge. He was like, almost 6'4", almost 300 pounds. I mean, there's video of him leaning over the counter in that convenience store and threatening the clerk. He grabbed a box of cigarettes, and as the clerk followed and tried to, get money or take it back from him, he leaned on his heel and threatened him again, and the guy fell over into one of those revolving product racks, almost knocked it over. I mean, the fact is, the guy had just strong-armed robbed a convenience store when he walked out the door, and the police officer said, "Excuse me," and started questioning him, and then he reaches for the cop's gun. I mean, the fact is, there was reason why that ended up in a shooting, and at least that was investigated, and they judged that the officer was following his proper procedure. So to call him a martyr and base a whole movement on him as a hero who was slain, that's twisting the truth. And it's the kind of thing the left does typically. And I know the left because, like I say, during the 70s, I was reading all the left, the gospel, Marx, Lenin, and the left was falling over themselves trying to decide which practitioner of communism they really liked the best. They were fighting over, Stalin versus Trotsky versus Fidel versus Che Guevara versus Ho Chi Minh. It was just like nuts falling over themselves trying to see which communist revolutionary was the most appealing. Well, I got out of that. In fact, I was kind of like a half-spirited Democrat for most of my life, and I voted for Romney in 2012 and changed my party registration from Democrat to Republican so that I could vote for Trump in the California primary. So that's a radical change for me because I'm now a registered Republican. And I like the fact that Trump is he doesn't apologize for saying politically incorrect things, and I think it's time that America has a leader that punctures that politically correct balloon, because it's gotten us in a heck of a lot of trouble. It's refreshing to hear somebody say Islam hates us, because guess what, folks? I've read enough of the Quran and the Hadiths to tell you, I have read the text. Yes, it's true. Islam hates non-Muslims. It hates specifically Jews and Christians. Says that over and over in the Quran, in the Hadiths, in the biography of Muhammad. I mean, Muhammad is actually described as carrying out the beheading of 600 to 900 Jews, the Qurayza tribe. He's quoted as saying that he won't rest until all Jews and Christians are driven out of Arabia. That's a quote of Muhammad. This is not a man of peace. And the religion that he founded is not and never was a religion of peace. So it matters that Saudi Arabian money is founding Islam classes in campuses across the country. That matters to me. It's what you call the Trojan horse. Our culture is being attacked from the inside as well as the out. And I went to UCLA, and a year ago a friend of mine was trying to film an outdoor ceremony where 200 visiting Muslims from up and down the West Coast were praying outdoors in Dixon Plaza, the biggest square on the UCLA campus. And they had loudspeakers while the head imam was leading the prayers, Allahu Akbar, etc., in Arabic. And as my friend was filming this, 2 security guards from the Muslim group sponsoring it came over to him and told him to shut up the camera, to erase the video right now, they told him, or they would call the cops. Now, that's what's going on campuses today. They talk about religion of peace, and here they are threatening to call the cops if he didn't erase the stuff that he had filmed. And incidentally, that video was on YouTube, so he did not stop the camera. He didn't delete it. But they threatened to call the cops. And in fact, after he finished filming it, they did call 7 cops, and they kicked him out of the rest of the conference. They would not let him participate and watch and listen to what they were saying. Well, guess what? I went back the second day, because this was a 3-day event, and I think that was on a Saturday. And I went back on Sunday and sat in for the whole day and listened to the different presentations from the Muslim speakers. And I heard one of the speakers at the end of the day summarizing the whole 3-day event, telling the people there, and there were like I guess about 800 kids there, that Muslims were a superior race. I swear to God, it sounded almost like sitting on a Hitler rally, that Muslims were a nation that were destined to rule other nations. And this is an idea and an attitude that's all through the Quran. You know, Muslims are the best of creatures, and Jews and Christians are the worst of creatures. That's a verse in the Quran, folks. There's another so-called hadith, which is one of the sayings of Muhammad, that kids throughout the Middle East are taught, and they have to memorize this. And one of the lines in that hadith goes something like this: that there will come a time when Muslims will fight the Jews, and even a stone will say, "O Muslim, there is a Jew hiding behind me, come kill him." That's a passage from the hadiths, the sayings of Muhammad, that kids in the Middle East are taught to memorize. And there's videos on YouTube with kids throughout the Middle East reciting this hadith. It's ancient. The hatred of Jews is ancient. It's not recent in terms of, like, you know, just since the foundation of the State of Israel. This hatred of Jews goes back to Muhammad. It's part of Islam. So it's refreshing to me to hear somebody say, without blushing, without apologizing, it's not a religion of peace. And we need to deal with that, because Saudi money is putting Islam classes throughout schools in the country. I have seen text used in classrooms in America that show a diagram of a hand with like a dotted line around the wrist to show where you cut the hand off, you know, for the crime of theft, because that's what happens in Muslim countries. They cut your hand off. And talking about the benefits of like multiple wives. I mean, this is not American values. This is like 7th century nomadic Arabian values. It does not belong in America. It's against everything America has come to believe. Equal rights for women, equal rights for gays. I mean, they hang gays in several Muslim countries. I've seen the videos. They hang them. Anyway, so we've got one candidate who can say the words radical Islam. President Obama can't say it, and it matters that he doesn't say it, because he is speaking out in defense of Islam practically in every speech. So I think that it's time to have somebody speak honestly about the challenges that America faces in the 21st century, and to define enemies, both foreign and domestic, that need to be confronted and dealt with honestly. Clinton is not doing that. It killed me the way she spoke to the survivors of the 4 people that were killed in Benghazi, and she said, "We're going to arrest that filmmaker," like the video that this guy made had something to do with the deaths of the 4 servicemen in Benghazi, and it had nothing to do with it. And the fact is, that was an Al-Qaeda type group that was staging a jihadi attack on the embassy and on the CIA complex. And to blame the filmmaker, who had, as an Egyptian American, he had the right to express his opinion. I mean, it was critical of Islam, critical of Muhammad. It was crudely made. The guy was, like, you know, not fluent in English, so the script actually was kind of funky in places, because, you know, it obviously wasn't written by somebody that speaks fluent English. But the fact is, it was his right, you know, to make a video and to state his opinion as an Egyptian American. This is what his opinion of Islam and Muhammad is, and here Hillary Clinton is saying, "We're going to arrest this guy," as if he was responsible for the deaths of those 4 people in Benghazi. Well, that bothers me. I mean, that's dishonesty, And I could never vote for Clinton, never in 1,000 years. I mean, that offended me, the way she looked at the grieving families of these 4 people that were killed in Benghazi and blamed their deaths on the video. I mean, so Trump speaks honestly about it. He's got a family that seems like they have genuine values, and they seem like good kids and respectable and hardworking. I would like to see a responsible and a truthful and a strong leader in the White House. I don't see that in Hillary Clinton, and that's why I'm voting for Trump. I'm not actually officially part of the campaign, but I guess, you know, as time goes by, if there's anything I can do for that campaign, I would be happy to do it. So this is kind of rambled on, but I guess I wanted to give you some depth to why I'm going to be voting for Trump. Any questions? Let me know. Thanks.